Hello, everybody. Get this thing going here. Little technical difficulties. Good morning, everybody. I'm Lance McCann, and this is the Lance McCann Show, brought to you by Lance McCann. I'm a local real estate agent. My license number is BRE01987449 with Keller Williams. I'm here with Xavier Mountain. He's a foster youth advocate. We're going to be peeling back the layers of what is foster youth advocacy. Hello, Xavier. Thank you for stopping by. We've had a few conversations, and you have an interesting background growing up in Stockton, and so I'd like to peel back some of those layers and help people understand what is foster youth advocacy. So, you grew up in Stockton, but where in Stockton did you grow up?
I grew up in the north side of Stockton.
North side?
Yep.
Not the rough part of the north side. So
I mean,
everybody knows there's like Kelly Drive's north side or the.
No. I grew up by Bernay Drive.
Okay.
Right there close to Hammer.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean it's a bit rough, but like I said, there's rough sides and north side too.
Oh yeah. There's
I think some people have an illusion that it's just very primarily south side that you have their struggles.
Right. Yeah. So, tell me a little bit about your past. You grew up in foster youth, so let's kind of delve into that.
Yeah, definitely had a different path compared to a lot of people that's going on as far as the normal path of what being a kid is. I went to foster care at 2 years old after being taken away from my mother, who had a drug addiction.
Okay.
The state determined that my dad was not fit to have me because he was not a legal citizen at the time. But he was working on his citizenship, so they stated that, you're not allowed to.
Not enough.
Yeah, not enough. Sorry, we understand that you love your son, but you got to get those papers.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's
some
craziness here. Adjust this a little bit.
Yeah, and then from that point, I was adopted into an elderly family.
At 2 years old? Or
yeah.
When did that?
Yeah, just literally not too long ago, about 2 years old.
Okay.
And I was actually adopted with my little brother, Quincy Mountain, too. And then we were adopted together. Luckily, most of the times in foster care.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy.
Oh yeah, you get separated pretty easily.
Especially big families.
Big time. So luckily that happened. So we were adopted into a conservatively Christian family household.
Okay.
So there was a lot of certain values that that
the kids lack today.
Yeah. Some discipline, right?
Right.
But even
did you get the belt growing up?
Of course.
I got the wooden spoon myself.
Yeah. And it is just going down that path. There's fine lines to what discipline is, and I believe in spanking, good old spanking, and I think
heck yeah,
we need that every once in a while.
Shock the system.
Yeah.
Like, wow.
But there were times that it got a little too far, because there was that conservatively Christian side, the certain values that did say that you do something that's not right, it's the devil. And so that's where that part
like rock music.
Yeah.
I grew up in Christian, youth group, and like rock music is the devil. I'm like,
the devil or jazz,
I missed so much. I missed out on so much good music growing up, man.
I'm telling you, AC/DC,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, that was the no. And Ozzy Osbourne, oh my God,
man.
you cannot have Ozzy Osbourne in the house.
Don't get me started. Oh my gosh. But yeah, that ended up happening. Went down that path. And it ended up getting to a point that it really kind of got a little far. But I got into the altercation with my adopted father, and then it winded me back up into the foster care system again.
So
yeah.
Say that again. So you got
adopted.
Okay.
Too.
And then
at about 15 years old, actually I was just going to turn that. My adopted papers were voided. I didn't think that was even possible.
Wow.
Yeah, but it is if you give them a good cause of fear. And a lot of other reasoning. I mean, the laws has changed over time.
You were afraid, or they were afraid?
They were afraid of me. I mean, yeah, it was just, it got to a point that...
So why were they afraid of you?
I mean, when you're...
Come on, let's dive deep here.
Okay, well, when you're about a 5'10", 15-year-old who weighs almost 215 pounds, you know.
Okay.
Uh,
They were
and
intimidated.
yeah, of course. And then all those years, like I said, there's a fine line between giving a person a spanking and then going too far.
Right.
And there was those moments that it went too far.
And you were felt like you were defending yourself?
Of course. It was like a dog that's backed into a corner.
Mm.
I mean, you have a choice, you know.
Right.
So my choice was to fight back. And that's what ended up happening. But I will one thing I always say is that there was a lot of values that they did give me that I do appreciate. You know.
Do you still have contact with them?
No, I don't. My adoptive father, he's deceased.
Oh, okay.
He's a veteran of the military. So growing up now, I understand why he was the way he was. Very
right.
firm. His background, a lot of things that possibly made him the way he was. And I mean, now I have the lens being educated, you know, going to college, doing social work. So now I understand that.
Little PTSD.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I mean, when you're a child, you don't understand.
Yeah, you don't get that at all.
Exactly.
And what about your mother?
My mother, I don't have any contact with her. She has dementia.
Oh.
Really bad. So even to be in contact with her, at the time I did, you know, she didn't remember who I was. She remembers me when I was a kid. And so she remembers, you know, Zay. She used to call me Zay when I was a kid.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
man.
but from that point, I was in and out of foster care, different group homes, shelters.
Were you abused?
In the group homes and shelters?
Yeah.
No, not so much abuse physically. It's more of a mental abuse.
Mental.
Yeah, it's like you're going through a lot mentally at 15 years old. Because at 15 years old, you're figuring out, like, does a girl like me or not?
Yeah, you're starting to realize, like, hey, I'm becoming a man.
Exactly. That's the age. But at 15 years old, I was determined, where am I going to go next? Mm-hmm. What's the next person that I have to change and adapt to?
What's my next best decision?
Exactly. Because every decision you make can determine where you go next. And so, being in a foster care system, I learned to adapt very quickly. And it actually helps me to this day.
You have to be a chameleon.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
You have to be.
Oh,
I mean, but those are life skills.
Oh, man.
Being able to get along with people that see things differently than you do, which is kind of what we're going through now politically. So it's a good skill. It's a good life skill. They should teach that.
Oh, man.
There's a fly buzzing around in here.
Oh, yeah. Adaptability is good in every field, right? And it gives you a different lens, empathy.
So
what a lot of people lack.
So you mentioned earlier that you had a brother. Where was your brother through all this?
That's rough to talk about, but I definitely am willing to talk about that. My little brother, at the time when I was doing that, he was the only one that stopped me. It was a really brutal situation, and it was just years of abuse dwindled down to one moment. And that
defining moment?
That defining moment, right? That changed my life forever. And my little brother was the only one that stopped me. It was almost like an angel, I guess you could say, because everybody was using aggression to stop me because I was just at my breaking point, you know, at 15 years old. And my little brother just yelled at me. He says, just stop. Stop. And that was the piercing sound that just brought me to reality of what I just did.
Wow. I can feel that emotion right now.
Yeah. And then...
That's deep.
Yeah, and after that, you know, usually it's supposed to be the big brother protecting the little brother, and I did that throughout all my time. And then that day, my little brother was the big brother. He held me in his lap while I was crying, and he hugged me. And while I was saying, I don't want to go to jail. I don't want to go to jail. I'm scared. And he was crying with me. And after I left him there in that household, it was almost like he became me. The anger that they couldn't give to me, it was put upon him. And so it was obvious because when I was in the group homes and shelters, he was calling me, please, I need your help. These people are, you know, he won't admit it today, but you know, he was a smart butt. So he used to talk so much mess, and I used to be the one that protected him, but I wasn't there to protect him anymore. And so when he called me to help him one day, I couldn't do it. And it hurt my heart, and I actually ran away from one of the shelters just to go protect him. But by the time I got there, it was too late. You know, they already did what they did, and from that point, he said to me, he's like, "You were supposed to be there for me," and that hurt me so much.
Damn.
Yeah, and then that's when he went down a gang the life, the gang. You know, like what gangs really are. And like I said,
Extended family.
extended family.
Yeah.
Somebody that cares for you. And the thing is, people use the word gang, but the thing is, in his eyes, is he didn't classify as a gang. He classified as a person who cared.
Right.
Family. And I think that's where the lens comes in play. Like, you have to understand, like, a lot of these people go down these paths not because they want to, but because they
don't see any other opportunity or option.
Exactly. And that's my little brother.
They don't know where to reach out to go, I need help.
Exactly. And then I was his only biological family. I was the only thing he had left. So when I was gone, it was like my little brother's world was gone.
Damn. That's pretty deep. So where's your brother now?
Right now, he's serving out his time. He's been in and out of juvenile in prison since he was 13, since I left. And he's about 25 now, and he's serving out his time in Nevada State Prison.
You have any plans for him when he gets out?
Oh boy, do I! I literally
straighten your shit stuff out.
Oh yeah, and I've been giving it to him, like I've been telling him. But see, the thing is, you can't tell somebody who's used to this lifestyle, you just need to get yourself better without a plan.
Right.
And that's what the problem is. A lot of times, people are saying, this is what you need to do," but they're not giving them a different solution to do that. They're like, "You need to clean yourself up." Okay, how?
What's that look like?
Well, how it looks like is this. If it, like my little brother, what my plans, all I can do is speak on what my plans for my little brother.
Okay.
I kept telling him to not do this, not do that. Obviously, when I was younger, I thought this was the way to do things. But as I became more educated...
Because it seems like, okay, just don't do that.
Yeah.
Whatever that thing is, don't do it.
It's obvious
Simple.
to us, right?
That's why I tell my kid, like, hey, if I tell you to do something, just do it. Pretty simple.
Right? And so, and that's clear. And you know, Lance, that's exactly how everybody feels. They feel like that should be obvious. But there's a saying that says, common sense is not so common. So what makes sense to you may not make sense to somebody else. And so I've learned that going through school. And like I said, I went to University of the Pacific, and now even going to University of Southern California, USC, to get my master's social work. One thing they taught us about a lens of empathy is to say, like, not everybody understands things the way you do. And so sometimes you got to break it down. So my little brother, when I got older, I realized that it's not that what I was telling was right, but I wasn't giving him an alternative solution. Like, okay, get a job. Okay, well, he's a felon now. Where do I find to get a job? We got to set these programs up.
Right.
Where we're saying, oh, well, you need to be around a lot more. You need to not sell drugs. Well, okay, now we need to find an alternative motive. So
income.
Exactly.
So what is your... Give me your 3-step process. I mean, we only have a little bit of time here, so just break it down
Okay, really quick. With my little brother, as soon as he gets out, I definitely want to get him a job. There's programming that would help him get that I'm able to work with.
Okay.
There's a program that is called AB 109.
Yeah, I've heard of that program.
Exactly. So they change your parole to probation.
So you can go out and...
So he'll be technically even though he's on parole, they would classify as a probation.
So he can get a job.
Exactly.
Nice.
And so there's opportunities for him, and then also housing opportunities. And I think it's really important for him to be able to step back into society. And hopefully I can get his tattoos removed. He has a lot of tattoos on his face. So there's a great program called the Stockton Trauma Recovery Center. They do tattoo removals.
That's like the worst. I don't know why people do that.
No. Yeah, you know what? I said the same thing.
It's like, wow.
I cannot tell you, when I seen it on my brother's face, I was like, oh my God, not another one. But after,
just don't.
Just don't.
Common sense, right? We're going back to common sense, right?
Yeah, but with him, I guess he felt like there was no other way. This is the only life he thought he was going to live. But I can assure him that he's wrong, and I'm going to make sure when you get out, buddy.
Well, I mean, he's got a good mentor. I mean, look. So, we got somebody. Hey, Tim, how you doing? He's saying he's proud of you. He's one of my friends here.
Thanks, Tim. You're always a great supporter.
Oh, you know Tim, huh?
Yeah. Everybody knows Tim.
I know, right? Who doesn't know Tim in this town, right? If he doesn't got a camera in his hand, I don't know. I don't even recognize him.
Oh, man.
So what was your moment? You were in foster care. I mean, you could have easily went down that same path as your brother. You were in shelters.
Group homes.
What's that?
Group homes.
Group homes.
Foster
So what
homes.
was your moment when you said, okay, I need to be different than I was yesterday?
The moment of realization? Well, it was when, my very first mentor. I didn't know what a mentor was, but until I was older and I knew that's what he was. It was architecture. Actually, I wanted to be an architect. I love drafting. Oh my gosh.
I wanted to be an architect too when I was younger.
Yeah.
Then I started realizing there's too many small circles and lines they got to
Oh,
make.
yeah. Well, see, I loved structure. Structures grew to be part of what I loved because structure meant stability for me.
Right.
And so when I found something that I knew that I can create structurally, that I know that this will be sound, that this is how it'll be. Like I was like, finally, I found some stability in something. And so there was a guy. He's a teacher over at Lincoln Lincoln High School, and so I went to Lincoln. His name is Jeff Wright. Great guy. He was an architecture teacher at the time. He was rough to me, you know. Back then I was a hardhead, you know.
You don't say.
Yeah. So a lot of people, he called me a knuckle, but he called everybody House. Hey, House. He was an old school ranch man.
Oh yeah,
Hey,
there you
House. And so I was sleeping in his class one day. You know, being a knuckle I was, because I always would finish my drafts up and just, you know, I was really arrogant, and I was just, whatever, I finished my draft, I'm just gonna lay here. And so he just kicked my desk one time, and I was just like, I got up and I just gave him this cold stare, you know, thinking I was just this bad kid, you know, just, you know, I'm in foster care, you know, I'm going through stuff, you don't know what I've been through, you know, I never said that, but it's like my eyes were just like, and then he just looked back at me with that old school rancher stare, you know, like that
was staring a bull down, right? Yeah. Like John Wayne,
exactly.
Clint Eastwood.
Oh man, and oh my gosh, and I tell you, that was the turning moment in my life. Like, and he sent me on my way. He's like, go to the office. So I went to the office, you know, the principal, and I came back, and then he never let down from that point on. But he says, I see more in you, Hoss. He's like, I'm not gonna let you just waste your talent. And so he just kept, and I kept doing it, and in that whole semester and so on, he stuck with me. He's the one person that didn't say like, oh, you know,
get out of my class, don't come back.
He knew what my capability. He gave me some. He was a person that believed in me, and so he gave me something to work towards.
Sometimes somebody's got to hold the belief for us before we could believe in ourselves.
Exactly, and see, you said it. And so he made me believe in myself, like you said, Lance. And Jeff Wright, I'll never forget him. He was my very first mentor, and he always called House.
You ever go back and thank him?
Oh yeah, plenty of times. Oh my gosh, that guy is on speed dial for me.
Right.
So he's a great guy, and he believes in hard work. He believes working hard is the way to go, and I never stopped working hard since. And
it's nice.
Yeah.
So from there,
okay.
Where did you go? You graduated high school, I take it?
I did, yes. I graduated high school and I went to Delta College. It was a little rough because, you know, going from being a foster care and then being left at 18 years old, most kids have a good transition. You know, the parents are still
So you were out at the foster care at 18?
18, gone.
You're like, okay,
that's it.
Happy birthday, here's a cake.
Bye.
Here's your stuff. Thank you. Here's your little pictures that you drew over the years.
Exactly.
Have a good day.
Okay.
Have a good life.
Here's a bag too, by the way.
Here's some crackers.
Exactly. Probably want a cracker, right?
Right.
But from that point, I was my own mentor, my own guardian, and my own financial support. And so being at 18 years old, that's a lot to put on an 18-year-old, fresh out of the foster care system. Right now, at that point, I'm just trying to figure out how to deal with my mental state. You know, going through whatever I went through, not being prepared for the real world, to say that you have to financially support yourself, you have to guide yourself. And then you have to be your own mentor as far as that goes, and you have to be your own parent.
How did you make that transition?
I didn't. It was a horrible transition.
I got some financial aid, and I just went wild.
I went wild, and it was a rough transition. I will not tell anybody that it was just an easy transition. That would be false.
Yeah.
It would be disingenuous. It was hard. It was hard to deal with being by myself. How to do financial.
So where'd you move from foster to college? Where'd you go?
Well, I was in this program called a THP program, the Transitional Housing Program.
Okay.
They've extended. Now there's a Transitional Housing Program, which is 2 years, and then now there's a Transitional Housing, a THP Plus, which is for any individuals from 21 to 25.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so I was able to have that help. So what they did is they paid a portion of my rent, and then I had to pay the other half. But at the very end of my term, they gave me the money that I put into the rent right back to me.
Oh wow.
Oh yeah. And so Like I said, but
Fresh
once
start.
again, I was still a knucklehead. 18, 19 years old. What do
Right.
you expect, you know?
No kidding. No kidding.
But I did get myself together, and I was the Mary Grant Children Foundation. They funded me. There's a foundation that gives scholarships to foster youth, and so they gave me a scholarship opportunity, and I was doing decent, and then I messed up again, and they took it away. But that was the best thing they did to me. I'll tell you, sometimes you gotta make something I work for.
Sweep the leg, Cobra
There we
Kai.
go. Oh my gosh. I would not. I do not. Hand me outs are not something I would say. Please give it to me. I like to work for it, and I think anybody who feels that is the way to go will understand. Like, because they know that they want their. It's the feeling to know that you earned it.
Right, and that's one of the problems when I was going to Delta. The classes would fill up. Couldn't get my class. As soon as the financial aid portion, the requirement was met, the classes were
It's
empty.
white. Yeah.
I'm like, man, I needed that class to get my degree. There's like 13 people in there,
Yeah.
but it's too late.
Yeah.
It's
But
personal responsibility.
yeah. And then I changed, and then I got myself on my feet. They gave me a mentor. Great.
Delta
That's-
did or
No,
the THP?
Mary Grant
Oh,
Children's
okay.
Foundation. They give individuals a mentor. They gave me a mentor. Her name is Carrie Heckman, Bokitas. Great mentor, but at first, once again, about that
The
time,
knucklehead syndrome. kicked in?
knucklehead syndrome. What
Xavier. Yeah, I see a reoccurring problem in your life. Knucklehead keeps
knucklehead.
popping.
So what happened is this is crazy. So there's a story. So she said she just wanted to meet with me. I'm so used to people seeing how can they utilize me to their advantage. What can help. So she just said she invited me to Jamba Juice, and I went to Jamba Juice, and I was just here's another person that just wants to just talk, see what they can do.
Yeah.
And she was just like, "What would you like?" And I was like, "That's fine." Prideful. I'm good. I don't need anything because I don't want to feel like you gave me something.
Right.
So she was like, "That's fine." So I said, "Orange Dream, my favorite, Orange Dream from Jamba Juice." And so she got me in. So that was great, but I was like, "Not again." And so during our conversation, she didn't tell me like what I need to do in the future. She just spoke to me.
Just listen.
Just listen. And so the weeks came on. Every week she would meet. She's like 10 o'clock, Jamba Juice. And so I said, "That's okay. That's great." So I came earlier so that she wouldn't buy my Jamba Juice. I bought my own Jamba Juice. Like nobody's gonna buy my Jamba Juice, right? And she was just. I came there. She's like, "I could have got that." I was like, "No, it's fine." So what happens the following week? We met again. She kept meeting me. She came earlier so she could buy me Jamba Juice, and it kept going until a point that I found myself meeting her earlier, and it just became like a unity. And the thing is, I had an issue with being on time, and so she found a way to get me to be on time without saying being on time. She was the example, and I think sometimes people gotta understand using words is beautiful, but being the example is even better.
Actions speak louder than words.
Exactly, Lance. And then I went to UOP from there, and then University of Southern California for my master's.
So what do you? Well, that's a lot to take in.
Yeah.
So what is foster youth advocacy? You got your degree in social work. So now what do you do? How do you help people that were in your situation?
Well, I do policy. I advocate for policy, and that's the biggest thing. Why do I advocate for policy? Because that's the biggest change that can happen. When there's if you're a social worker, there's CCL, which are licensing. Licensing has laws that are based on state laws, and sometimes depending on where county, it can be county or federal laws. And so when you create a policy or you push a policy and it gets passed, like SB, Senate bills or Assembly bills, guess what? Now those social workers, now those workers, now those agencies have to follow that law that you've created that has to be implemented.
Damn, that's a lot to take in right there. I did something. People are like, I want to do something to help.
That's the biggest way.
Yeah.
Because and I'm not saying I'm not saying that social workers aren't great. I have some great social workers that really helped me along my path. But what I'm saying is that there's great ways to make a big impact.
Right. Sometimes people get stuck doing things the old way that don't necessarily work. The outcome isn't what it should be. And by tweaking it a little bit or changing something, creating something, a brand new idea, you could help so many more people with the new idea.
Oh, yeah. Instead of helping one or two foster youth, now I'm able
People,
to help
if I save one person, well, why do you want to focus on one? Like, let's focus on the many.
Oh yeah, the masses, right?
Right.
And that was my goal. I wanted to help the masses.
So you written any Senate bills?
Oh no. So what happens is I don't write them. What happens is there's an overall seeing agency, which was John Burns Advocates for Youth. They write it. They find who wants to be an author. So what's an author, right? So an author is a senator, assembly member who's willing to be the face of that bill. Doesn't exactly mean that they passed that bill.
Or they wrote it. They're just advocating for it.
On behalf, because who are we? Who knows? If I go to the governor, he's not gonna know who I am, but he'll know the senator in the building.
Right.
So
he'll read it and go, I like this. I want to help push this through.
Exactly, and he'll put it on the committee's agenda.
Okay.
And so then we'll be able to come in for a hearing, and then during that hearing, we'll bring a ton of foster youth to say why this bill is important.
Nice.
And then, but we have a main speaker, which is me, because
you don't say.
and then we'll have other individuals do a Me Too. Now, what is a Me Too? It's like saying, "Oh, me too. I went through that." So they speak their truth.
From their perspective.
Exactly.
That's pretty cool. Is there any way that people out watching, is there any way that they could help?
Of course. So this following year, we're going to do three new bills. I can't tell you about it yet because we haven't put a number to it. But you'll see it in the following year. It takes about 6 months to a year for a bill to pass, and if it's a really controversial bill, it takes a few years. But these foster bills usually get about 6 months to a year. And so be on my Facebook, Xavier Mountain, on Facebook or Instagram, and I always publicize what we're doing, and I always give everybody the opportunity to join me for these hearings. And so,
man, let me know. I'd love to come out and check that out.
Of course.
I would love to see that.
Of course.
See what that looks like. So Xavier Mountain on Facebook, and what's your Instagram?
Xavier_Mountain.
Okay. So thank you for stopping by. Appreciate you taking the time. Is there anything else you'd like to share with the people before we wrap this up?
Yeah, I would like to say this. Foster youth, I know this might sound cliche, are people. And sometimes we see that if we sympathize, that's the same thing as caring. And that's not. Foster youth aren't zoo animals. They're people to be respected. And so, in a sense, when you see a foster youth going through what they're going through, don't sympathize. Empathize. That's the importance. And caring.
Love it. Thank you, Z.
Right.
Have a good one.
Right.
Thank you for stopping by. Ladies and gentlemen, next week my guest will be Tamara Aragon. She is a flipper, real estate investor. She's going to be talking about what it takes to be a real estate investor. Next Wednesday at 10 a.m. Remember, yes, you can with Lance McCann. Have a good day, everybody, and be good to people.
Exactly.